Welcome to our deep dive, into nonverbal learning disability, or NVLD for short.
Yeah, NVLD is a condition that I think really highlights just how diverse the human brain can be.
You know what I mean?
You see folks with NVLD, they often have like these amazing verbal skills.
Right.
They're fantastic communicators, storytellers, maybe even like whizzes at writing.
Yeah.
But they might find other things challenging, things that have to do with spatial reasoning or picking up on social cues.
Yeah, it's almost like a hidden wiring difference, right? And here's the thing that makes this deep dive even more intriguing.
Okay.
NVLD isn't officially recognized in the DSM-5.
Right.
That's, the big book that mental health professionals use for diagnoses.
It's true. And that makes our exploration today all the more important.
Right.
Because even though it's not in the DSM-5,
Yeah.
NVLD is a very real experience for many people.
Right.
In fact, some experts believe it might impact as many people as autism spectrum disorder.
Oh, wow. Okay. So my brain is already buzzing with questions. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's lay the groundwork here.
Yeah.
What exactly is NVLD?
Okay, so at its core, NVLD is a learning difference,
Okay.
a neurodevelopmental condition where there's this fascinating disconnect between someone's verbal abilities and their nonverbal skills.
Okay.
So imagine you can write a brilliant essay,
Yeah.
but you struggle to read a map
Uh-huh.
or to understand a joke.
Okay.
That's the kind of contrast we're talking about.
So it's not just about being bad at math or clumsy, as some stereotypes might suggest.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
NVLD is far more nuanced than that.
Okay.
It's about how the brain processes information differently.
Right.
Think of it like having different strengths and weaknesses in your mental toolbox.
I'm already starting to see how this could be easily misunderstood, especially if someone is excelling in school subjects that rely on verbal skills.
You're hitting on a crucial point. Many individuals with NVLD, they go undiagnosed or misdiagnosed
Wow.
because their verbal strengths can mask their nonverbal challenges.
Right.
This can lead to a lot of frustration and even self-esteem issues.
And this isn't something that people simply grow out of, right? NVLD impacts individuals throughout their lives.
Absolutely. The challenges might shift and evolve as a person matures.
Okay.
But NVLD is a lifelong companion.
Right.
For example, a child with NVLD might struggle with shoelaces or have trouble reading their friends' facial expressions.
Okay.
As they grow into adulthood, those challenges might manifest as difficulties in social situations, navigating workplace dynamics, or even managing daily tasks that require strong visual spatial skills.
Now, you mentioned social situations.
Yeah.
This is where things get particularly interesting because NVLD shares some similarities with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, right?
Yes, there's definitely overlap, especially when it comes to the social communication piece.
Okay.
Both individuals with NVLD and those with ASD might find it challenging to read nonverbal cues, understand humor, or navigate the often unspoken rules of social interaction.
So they might take things very literally, miss sarcasm, or have trouble understanding why someone is upset with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where we need to tread carefully.
Okay.
While there are similarities,
Yeah.
it's crucial to emphasize that NVLD and ASD are distinct conditions.
Okay.
The core features are different.
Right.
NVLD is primarily characterized by visual, spatial, and motor skill deficits.
Got it.
Think about struggling to judge distances while driving or feeling clumsy and uncoordinated.
And ASD is more about broader social communication challenges, often accompanied by restricted interests and repetitive behaviors. For example, someone with ASD might have intense fascinations with certain topics or engage in repetitive movements like hand flapping.
Precisely. And to add another layer of complexity,
Yeah.
remember that NVLD isn't officially recognized in the DSM-5,
Right.
while ASD is?
Yeah.
This lack of official recognition makes it even more difficult to identify and support individuals with NVLD.
So there's this ongoing debate in the research world. Is NVLD a separate condition, or is it part of the autism spectrum? And how does this debate impact the lives of people who are struggling with these challenges?
That's a question researchers are grappling with.
Right.
Some believe that NVLD might be a subtype of ASD,
Mm-hmm.
while others view it as a distinct condition altogether.
Yeah,
And for individuals with NVLD, this lack of clarity can be incredibly frustrating.
of course.
It can impact diagnosis, access to support services, and even self-understanding.
So for someone listening who might be thinking, wait, this sounds familiar, what would you say? Where do we even begin to untangle this?
Well, first take a deep breath.
Okay.
You're not alone.
Right.
The fact that we're having this conversation shining a light on NVLD,
Yeah.
that's a step in the right direction.
Okay.
Awareness is key.
Right.
And understanding the nuances of this condition,
Yeah.
even with the ongoing debate,
Yeah,
can be incredibly empowering for individuals and their families.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, I'm definitely feeling more aware, but now I'm even more curious about what's happening in the brain with NVLD.
Yeah.
What are the root causes?
Right.
Is it genetics, environment, some mysterious combination of the two?
Oh, $1 million question.
Yeah.
And if I had that definitive answer, I'd probably be accepting a Nobel Prize right now.
Right.
The truth is, we're still unraveling the mysteries of NVLD.
Okay.
But what's emerging is a picture of incredible complexity,
Yeah.
a tapestry woven from both nature and e-nurture.
Okay, so no single NVLD gene we can point to.
Not quite that simple, unfortunately.
Okay.
While researchers are exploring potential genetic links,
Right.
it's more likely a case of multiple genes interacting with environmental factors.
Yeah.
Think of it like a delicate ecosystem.
Okay.
Slight change in one area can ripple through the entire system.
So what are some of the environmental factors that might be involved?
Well, research suggests that things like complications during pregnancy or birth,
Okay.
low birth weight,
Mhm.
or even exposure to certain toxins early in life could increase the risk of NVLD.
Wow.
It highlights just how vulnerable our brains are
Yeah.
during those critical developmental stages.
So if a child is exposed to lead paint, for example,
Right.
that could have a lasting impact on their brain development and potentially contribute to NVLD.
Exactly.
Mm.
It underscores the importance of creating safe and nurturing environments for children, especially during those early years when their brains are literally being sculpted by their experiences.
So I'm hearing a theme here, the interplay between genetics and environment.
Yeah.
It's not an either situation.
No.
It's a delicate dance between the two.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
And it reminds us that we're not just passive recipients of our genes.
Right.
The choices we make,
Yeah.
the environments we create,
Uh-huh.
they all play a role in shaping who we become.
This is really making me think differently about how we perceive intelligence.
I think so too.
It's not just about verbal skills, is it?
I couldn't agree more. NVLD really challenges our traditional notions of intelligence,
Right.
highlighting the incredible diversity of the human mind.
Yeah.
We often prioritize verbal skills,
Right.
but there are so many other forms of intelligence, spatial, artistic, musical, kinesthetic, that are equally valuable.
It's almost like we need a broader definition of intelligence, one that encompasses this beautiful spectrum of human abilities.
Absolutely. And understanding conditions like NVLD can help us move towards that more inclusive view of intelligence.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling a paradigm shift happening in my brain right now.
That's good.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about how NVLD is actually diagnosed.
Okay.
What's that process like?
Well, it typically involves a comprehensive evaluation by a qualified professional,
Okay.
such as a psychologist or neuropsychologist.
Right.
They use a variety of assessments to get a holistic view of an individual's cognitive strengths and challenges.
So it's not as simple as just taking a quick test.
Not at all. Diagnosing NVLD requires a skilled clinician who can carefully piece together the puzzle, looking for specific patterns and ruling out other conditions that might share similar symptoms.
What kinds of things are they looking for during this evaluation?
They'll assess a wide range of areas.
Okay.
For example, they might give you tasks that involve visual spatial reasoning,
Okay.
like mentally rotating objects or copying complex designs.
Uh-huh.
They might also assess fine motor skills by having you complete activities like drawing, cutting, or writing.
Right.
And of course, they'll evaluate your verbal abilities and communication skills to see if there's that characteristic gap between your verbal strengths and your nonverbal challenges.
So they're looking for a specific profile?
Yeah.
A set of strengths and weaknesses that aligns with the understanding of NVLD?
You got it.
Yeah.
And remember, this is where that lack of official recognition in the DSM-5 really complicates things.
Right.
Clinicians have to rely on their clinical judgment and expertise to make a diagnosis. They're looking for patterns, connecting the dots, and using their knowledge to determine if NVLD is the best explanation for what they're observing.
I imagine it can be a frustrating process for individuals seeking a diagnosis.
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis is all too common.
Wow.
But thankfully, awareness of NVLD is growing,
That's good.
and more clinicians are becoming skilled in recognizing and assessing this complex condition.
Speaking of complexity, I'm eager to circle back to those NVLD subtypes we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The idea that NVLD isn't one size fits all is really intriguing.
Yes, it's an area of research that's bursting with potential,
Yeah.
offering us a more nuanced view of NVLD.
So remind me again, what are those subtypes and how do they differ?
Well, we're still in the early stages of understanding these subtypes.
Okay.
So things are always evolving.
Right.
But based on current research, we can broadly categorize them into three main types.
Okay.
The first is often called subtype A, or the ADHD-like subtype.
So are we talking about classic ADHD symptoms, inattentiveness, hyperactivity, impulsivity?
Exactly. Individuals with subtype A often struggle with focusing their attention,
Okay.
staying organized, and managing their impulses.
Right.
It's not surprising that many individuals with this subtype might be initially misdiagnosed with ADHD.
Especially since NVLD isn't even in the DSM-5.
Right.
That diagnostic gray area must be challenging for clinicians.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to look beyond the surface symptoms and really delve into the individual's unique profile of strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so if subtype A is characterized by those ADHD-like symptoms, what about subtype B?
Subtype B is all about those visual spatial challenges we talked about earlier.
Right.
These individuals might have extreme difficulty with spatial reasoning,
Okay.
depth perception, or navigating their physical environment.
So we're talking about things like struggling to read maps, judge distances while driving, or even assembling furniture.
Precisely. And for these individuals, the visual world can feel incredibly overwhelming and confusing.
Wow.
Imagine trying to navigate a busy city street with all the cars, people, and signs coming at you at once.
Oh my gosh.
That's the kind of sensory overload they might experience on a regular basis.
I'm starting to see how NVLD can impact so many different aspects of a person's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about academics or cognitive skills.
Right. Yeah.
It touches on everything: social interactions, emotional regulation, even our sense of self in the world.
And then we have subtype C, right? What makes this subtype unique?
Well, subtype C is often described as the mixed presentation subtype.
Okay.
These individuals experience a combination of challenges from both subtypes A and B,
Okay.
along with significant social difficulties.
So they might have trouble with attention, visual-spatial processing, and social communication.
Uh-huh.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It can be.
Yeah.
And remember, even within these subtypes, there's a wide range of individual variability. No two people experience NVLD in exactly the same way.
So this isn't about putting people into neat little boxes.
No.
It's about recognizing the diversity within NVLD and tailoring support to each person's unique needs.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's the heart of it.
Right.
Understanding the subtypes helps us move beyond generalizations and stereotypes.
Right.
It allows us to see the individual within the diagnosis and appreciate the complexity of their experience.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Good.
I'm feeling much more equipped to identify and support individuals with NVLD.
Good. I'm glad.
But I have a feeling we're just getting started.
You're right.
Yeah.
In our next segment, we'll delve deeper into the practical strategies and interventions that can empower individuals with NVLD to thrive.
Okay.
We'll explore everything from educational accommodations to social skills training and even occupational therapy techniques.
Okay, I'm already taking notes.
Good.
This is where the rubber meets the road, where we translate knowledge into action.
Exactly. We'll empower you with practical tools and resources you can use to support individuals with NVLD in your own life.
Yeah.
Whether it's a child, a student, a coworker, or even yourself.
Welcome back to our deep dive into NVLD. You know, in the last two segments, we explored the complexities of this often misunderstood condition, from its core characteristics to the fascinating world of subtypes.
Right.
But now I'm really eager to kind of shift our focus to what we can actually DO to support individuals with NVLD.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power, but only if we know how to use it, right?
Absolutely. It's time to move from understanding to action.
Right.
So let's explore, the practical side of things.
Okay.
What strategies and interventions can make a real difference in the lives of those with NVLD?
Okay, perfect. Let's dive into that toolbox. What are some of the most effective approaches that we can use?
Well, one of the cornerstones of supporting individuals with NVLD is explicit instruction and direct teaching.
Okay, we've touched on this concept before.
Yeah.
Can you remind us what that looks like in practice?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about breaking down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps,
Right.
providing clear and concise instructions, and using visual aids to support learning.
Okay.
Think of it as building a bridge between the verbal world, where those with NVLD often excel, and the nonverbal world, where they might face challenges.
So instead of just saying, clean your room, which can feel overwhelming for someone with NVLD,
Right.
you might break it down into specific steps.
Yeah.
First, gather all the clothes and put them in the hamper. Right. Then make your bed. Next, pick up all the toys and put them in the toy bin.
Exactly. That level of clarity can make all the difference.
Yeah.
It reduces anxiety, provides a sense of structure, and sets them up for success.
I'm starting to see how this approach could be applied in so many different contexts, at home, at school, even in the workplace.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a versatile tool, and it goes hand in hand with another powerful strategy, visual supports.
Visual supports, tell me more about those.
Okay. Think about all the ways that we use visuals in our daily lives.
Yeah.
Street signs, maps, diagrams,
Yeah.
even emojis.
Yeah.
For individuals with NVLD, visual supports can be a game changer.
How so?
Well, they help to organize information,
Okay.
clarify expectations, and reduce reliance on verbal instructions, which can be challenging for those with NVLD to process and retain.
So for example, instead of just telling a child with NVLD, we're going to the grocery store, then the library, then grandma's house.
Right.
You might create a simple visual schedule with pictures representing each location.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or if you're working with a teenager who struggles with organization, you might create a color-coded system for their schoolwork, using different colored folders or notebooks for each subject.
I'm already picturing how helpful these visual strategies could be. It's like giving their brains a roadmap,
Yeah.
making the abstract more concrete and manageable.
Exactly. And the beauty of visual supports is that they can be adapted to any age or setting.
Now, I know we've talked about the social challenges associated with NVLD.
Right. Are there specific strategies that can help in that area?
Absolutely. Social skills training can be incredibly empowering for individuals with NVLD.
What does that look like?
Well, it can involve a variety of techniques.
Hmm?
For example, you might use role-playing to practice different social situations,
Okay.
like introducing yourself to someone new
Hmm.
or handling a conflict with a friend.
It's like giving them a safe space to rehearse those interactions and build their confidence.
Exactly. You can also teach them specific strategies for interpreting nonverbal cues,
Right.
like understanding facial expressions or body language.
So you might say if someone crosses their arms, it could mean they're feeling angry or closed off.
Precisely. And you can help them develop scripts for common social interactions, like ordering food at a restaurant or asking for help in class.
These are such practical, actionable tips. I can see how they can make a real difference in someone's social life.
They can. And the key is to start early, provide ongoing support, and tailor the training to the individual's specific needs and challenges. Now, what about occupational therapy? I know that's often recommended for individuals with NVLD,
Right.
especially those who struggle with motor skills.
Occupational therapy can be incredibly beneficial.
Yeah.
Occupational therapists are skilled at assessing and addressing a wide range of challenges,
Okay.
including fine motor control,
Right.
coordination, sensory processing, and even executive functioning skills.
So they might do activities like puzzles, games, or even arts and crafts to help improve those skills.
Exactly. They might also work on things like handwriting,
Okay.
using scissors or tying shoelaces, which can be particularly challenging for those with NVLD.
And it's not just about improving those practical skills, right?
Right.
Occupational therapy can also address the underlying sensory sensitivities that many individuals with NVLD experience.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
Many individuals with NVLD are highly sensitive to sensory input,
Right.
whether it's loud noises, bright lights, or certain textures.
So a crowded shopping mall or a noisy classroom could feel completely overwhelming to them.
Exactly. Occupational therapists can help them develop strategies for managing those sensitivities,
Okay.
whether it's through sensory breaks, noise-canceling headphones, or even just creating calming spaces in their environment.
I'm really appreciating how this conversation is highlighting the interconnectedness of all these different aspects of NVLD, the cognitive, the social, the sensory, and the emotional.
It's all part of the tapestry.
Yeah.
And the more we understand these connections, the better equipped we are to support individuals in a holistic way.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to
Yeah.
circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The importance of building self-esteem and resilience in individuals with NVLD.
Yeah, that's such a crucial point. Imagine navigating a world that's not always designed for your way of thinking.
Right.
It can be incredibly challenging and disheartening.
So how can we help individuals with NVLD develop a strong sense of self-worth and the resilience to overcome those challenges?
Well, it starts with focusing on their strengths.
Okay.
Every individual with NVLD has unique talents and abilities. Yeah. It's about helping them recognize and celebrate those strengths, even in the face of their challenges.
So instead of just focusing on what they're struggling with, we should also highlight what they're good at. Their creativity, their problem-solving skills, their empathy, whatever it might be.
Exactly. And it's about teaching them coping skills for dealing with setbacks and frustrations.
Okay.
Everyone experiences challenges in life, but for individuals with NVLD, those challenges might feel even more intense.
So we might teach them relaxation techniques, positive self-talk, or even just the importance of seeking support when they need it.
Precisely. And it's about fostering a growth mindset, the belief that their abilities can be developed through hard work and dedication.
So instead of saying, I'm just bad at math, they might say, math is challenging for me, but I'm willing to work hard and learn new strategies.
That's the spirit. It's about shifting the focus from limitations to possibilities.
This has been such an enlightening deep dive.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of NVLD, not just the challenges, but also the incredible strength and potential within this community.
It's an amazing community.
It is. And remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration. There's a wealth of information and resources available online.
Yes.
Through organizations like the NVLD Project, and even in your own community.
Absolutely.
We'll be sure to include links to those resources in the show notes for easy access.
Great.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. Remember, awareness is the first step towards creating a more inclusive and supportive world for individuals with NVLD.
Beautifully said. And if you're listening and you think you or someone you love might have NVLD, don't hesitate to reach out to a qualified professional for an evaluation.
Right.
Early intervention can make a world of difference.
Remember, you're not alone on this journey. And together, we can make a difference. Thanks for diving deep with us.